Welcome back to the deep dive. So, today we're tackling well, something pretty ambitious.
Very ambitious. We're charting a course for an entrepreneur who wants to launch a shoe business.
Right, and with a really specific goal, to be earning about 100,000 Pakistani rupees a month by November 2026.
It's an aggressive deadline for sure, especially with limited capital. So our mission here is to give you a clear roadmap. We've dissected the market using the Steeple framework, social, technological, all the way to ethical.
We're basically finding the shortcuts and flagging the roadblocks.
Exactly. We're giving you a strategy.
Okay, so let's figure out where the biggest wins are. I think we have to start with the consumer, the social factors. What is actually driving people to buy shoes right now?
Well, the signal is super clear. It's all about the youth market.
Okay.
And for them, it's this intersection of fashion and, crucially, affordability. They're very fashion conscious. They want trendy things, but they're also incredibly price sensitive.
So they can't afford the big imported brands, but they won't settle for something that looks cheap either.
Precisely. And their entire world, their shopping world, is on social media, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. If you're not there, you basically don't exist.
That's the visibility piece. But what about the actual shoe? What are they looking for in the product itself?
It's that balance, comfort and style. It has to be functional, for a busy life, but it also has to be stylish enough to post online.
Makes sense. Are there any weaker signals, things that are just starting to emerge?
There are two things, really. First, a growing awareness about ethical production. Where are these things made? And second, a small but growing demand for customization. Personalized shoes, unique designs, that kind of thing.
That's fascinating. So it's not just about shoes anymore. The real opportunity then for you is to sell an identity, to sell confidence.
Yes.
Wow.
And the question becomes, how do you do that affordably?
Which moves us perfectly into technology. How can you use tech to capture this market without breaking the bank?
The great news is the tech landscape is incredibly friendly for a startup right now. The barrier to entry has just collapsed.
How so?
E-commerce platforms, we're talking Daraz, Instagram shops, even just WhatsApp business. You don't need a fancy, expensive website to get started.
And getting paid is easy too, I imagine.
Oh, yeah. All the digital payment options. Easy Payza, Jazz Cash, bank apps, it's all instant, so your cash flow isn't tied up.
What about the newer stuff, the cutting-edge tech? Is any of that within reach?
Some of it is, surprisingly. We're seeing weak signals of AI design tools popping up, things that can help you generate mock-ups or promo images. Virtual try-on with AR is still a bit far off for a small business, but the ideas are there.
So the actionable advice isn't to wait for AR, it's to use the free tools that exist today.
Exactly. Use Canva or Photor for your branding, for your mock-ups. Manage your first 100 orders through Instagram DMs and WhatsApp. Save your capital for the one thing you can't digitize.
Your inventory.
Your inventory, which brings us right to the economics of it all. Can you actually serve this market and hit that 100,000 PKR goal?
This is where it gets really interesting, because you'd think the current economy would be a huge hurdle.
And in some ways it is, but the high inflation we're seeing, it actually creates an opening.
How?
It's squeezing people's budgets so much that the big established shoe brands are just becoming unaffordable for most.
Right, so it pushes them to look for local alternatives that are stylish but don't cost a fortune.
It's the perfect moment to build a trusted local brand. And the source material highlights something critical here.
Which is?
The cost to get started. By sourcing from local wholesalers or small manufacturers, the research suggests you can launch this business with just 60,000 to 70,000 PKR.
Hang on, 60 or 70,000. I mean, is that realistic?
It is.
Because that sounds like just enough for one small batch of shoes.
Yeah.
What about marketing? What about handling returns?
And that's the necessary challenge. That figure is the absolute minimum viable starting capital. It covers sourcing one style, maybe in 3 colors. It proves that money isn't your biggest barrier.
I see.
But it means the rest of your strategy has to be built on keeping your operating costs at almost zero. Your marketing has to be you on social media for free.
So that low barrier just gets your foot in the door. Your own cleverness is what keeps you in the game.
Well said.
Okay, so with that constraint, and knowing there's a ton of competition online, what's the profitable price point?
The sweet spot is really tight. It's between 1,000 and 3,500 rupees.
Why that specific range?
Because it targets young consumers who see shoes as a frequent, trend-driven purchase, not a long-term investment. At that price, it's almost an impulse buy. They might buy a new pair every few months.
And that frequency is what creates the volume you need to hit that monthly income target.
That's the engine of the business. The strategy is low initial cost, high volume through smart pricing, all driven by free social media hustle.
That makes a lot of sense. So with the foundation set, let's look at the external risks. What about environmental factors?
The expectations are definitely changing. The strong signal is that customers, even if the shoe itself isn't fully sustainable, they prefer eco-friendly packaging. They're aware of plastic waste.
So presentation matters.
A lot. The weak signal, using actual vegan or recycled materials in the shoes, that's still pretty niche locally. But you can stand out right now with simple, low-cost things.
Like what?
Recyclable packaging, and just building a clean brand image.
Hmm.
It immediately differentiates you from the anonymous, mass-produced stuff.
Got it. Okay, let's move to the nuts and bolts, political and legal factors. What's the political climate like for a new entrepreneur?
Surprisingly supportive, actually. There are often government initiatives to encourage youth entrepreneurship, and for a small, home-based business, the regulation is very low at the start.
Which lets you focus on just selling.
Right, but there's always a risk in this region. The weak signal is vulnerability to, say, a sudden change in import policy.
If you're relying on imported materials, for example.
Exactly. If your synthetic soles are all coming from abroad, one policy shift could shut you down.
So the strategy has to be building independence from that.
From day one, the opportunity is to build strong relationships with local domestic suppliers. It makes your supply chain way more resilient.
Okay, and on the legal side, for an online seller, what's the #1 priority to build trust?
It's simple. A clear, written refund and exchange policy. It's instant credibility. Down the line, you'll want to think about trademarking your brand name, but that can wait.
What about taxes? That's always the storm cloud on the horizon for successful online businesses.
And it is. That's the weak signal here. As e-commerce grows, you can bet specific tax regulations for online sellers will follow.
Yep, so what's the move?
A phased approach. Start informally. Prove the concept, build the brand, get the income stabilized. Once you know it works, then you register the business and start dealing with the formal requirements.
That's a really pragmatic way to handle it. All right, let's tie this all together with the final piece, ethical factors.
This is maybe the most important for long-term survival. The strongest signal here is transparency, total transparency.
Customers want to know what they're buying.
They demand it, especially younger customers. They want to know where the materials come from, what the quality is. If you mislead them, your reputation is gone overnight.
And we already mentioned that weak signal about demand for ethically made goods. How does a startup even begin to tackle that?
You don't have to solve every global problem. The opportunity is in simplicity and authenticity. Build your brand on 3 things: honesty, quality, and fair pricing.
Things like not using exploitative labor, not selling fakes.
The basics. But those simple, powerful ethics are what earn you those crucial repeat customers.
This has been a really complete picture. Let's try to synthesize this for our listener.
The deep dive really confirms that this is a good space to be in. The social, technological, and economic wins are all at your back, especially if you're starting small with that 60, 70K investment.
The market is literally shifting towards exactly what you can offer. Affordable, local style that's marketed directly through social media.
It is.
So when we look at that ambitious goal, 100,000 BKR a month, what's the final verdict?
The verdict is that it's absolutely achievable, but only with focus. You have to nail that intersection of comfort, style, and authenticity. And you have to leverage the free online marketing tools we talked about. If you do that, you're hitting the market at the perfect time.
All right, before we wrap up, what's the one final provocative thought you want to leave our entrepreneur with?
Okay, here it is. We talked about the future of tech AI, design tools, virtual try-ons. Technology will definitely help you get that first sale. But given the economic and political volatility we discussed, how critical is it for you to simultaneously invest your time right now in building deep, resilient, local, and ethical supplier relationships?
So tech might bring the customers.
But stability and ethics are what will keep them and what will protect your business from supply chain shocks down the road.
A truly strategic way to look at it. Thank you for giving us the chance to do this deep dive into your source material. We are definitely looking forward to hearing your success story. Apply these insights and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.